Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Charlene Bollinger, and I'm also founder of The Truth About Cancer, along with my husband, Ty. We are so excited to share with you this documentary of our travels across Asia in search of the most effective treatments for cancer. But before we get to the amazing footage from Japan, you might be wondering why we created this documentary. To begin, when Ty and I first were married back in 1995, we experienced 6 months into our marriage in 1996, the devastating loss of his father, Graham Bollinger. He was diagnosed with cancer, and within 25 days later, he was gone. And we thought at the time it was cancer, but really, when we look back, we realized it was not the cancer, it was a botched surgery. He bled to death, and how devastating that was for us. So we began our journey right there. And 6 months later, we lost his father's father to cancer. And then his father's brother, Ty's uncle, and his cousin, Glenn, all within that first year. It was such a blow. And then, on top of all of that, we lost Ty's mother's mother and her father. But the straw that broke the camel's back was in 2004, when we lost my dear mother-in-law and Ty's mother and the children's Grammy to cancer. And at that time, we had done so much research, we learned that there was information that we didn't have in the beginning of our journey that we wished we would have had. This turned into our personal mission from the first book we self-published, Cancer Step Outside the Box, in 2006, to radio interviews, speaking engagements, and then finally in 2014, we founded the Truth About Cancer organization, and our first film was The Quest for the Cures. And then we produced The Quest for the Cures Continues, and it was on to The Truth About Cancer, A Global Quest. After we released A Global Quest, we realized that there was still a huge portion of the world renowned for its innovation and medical advancements that was almost totally unrepresented. Also, we were inundated with requests from our audience asking us to travel to Asia and discover how they treated cancer there. So we did. The Truth About Cancer presents Eastern Medicine, Journey Through Asia, 7 countries in 7 days. Here is Ty in Tokyo, Japan, describing the adventure that you're about to experience with us.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Ty Bollinger, and as you can see, I'm in Tokyo, Japan. Behind me is the Sky Tree, and I want to welcome you to our documentary for the next 7 days. You will be traveling with me and my camera team as we go across 7 different countries in Asia. This is going to be totally different than anything that you've seen in the past. You may have seen our documentary films in the past. We've produced many of them on cancer, but this will be unique because over the next 7 days, you will be traveling with me and my crew as we go through several different countries, 7 different countries to be exact, and we interview medical doctors in each country and their patients to figure out what they're doing to treat cancer. And this is going to be raw, it's going to be pretty much uncut, and you're going to see what we see, and we learn about cutting-edge, life-saving types of treatments that these doctors are currently utilizing in these different countries. I don't think you will have ever seen anything like what you're going to see over these next 7 days. So we're really excited to share this with you.
We are so excited to share this with you. As Ty just mentioned, for the next 7 days, get ready to travel with Ty and the Truth About Cancer team as they travel to and interview doctors, cancer patients, and expert researchers in Taiwan, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and India. Of course, the first country they visited was Japan, land of the rising sun. After a 14-hour flight from the USA, Ty and Bryce and the team arrived in Tokyo Narita Airport, caught an Uber to the hotel, and the first person they saw at the hotel was our good friend, Dr. Antonio Jimenez. To begin, here are a few interesting facts about Japan. The Japanese name for Japan is Nihon or Nippon, which means sun origin. Japan is made up of over 6,800 islands. Japan has been number 1 for close to 3 decades now, with an average life expectancy of 83.7 years. And there are more elderly than children in Japan. And finally, stomach cancer is the number 1 cancer in Japan. Are you ready? Please grab a notebook and a pen or your iPad and get ready to travel and learn alongside Ty and the Truth About Cancer team in Japan.
Our first interview is with Dr. Shinnok Akiyama. He's a medical doctor here in Japan, and he's with me right now. Dr. Akiyama, thank you so much for joining us today.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you too. And if you could just share with us a little bit about your education here in Japan and what led you into becoming a medical doctor.
私は札幌医科大学を1989年に卒業しました。その後、化学療法の専門医として養成されました。10年前から免疫療法を始めました。特にデンドリティックセルベースメディスン。その後、6年前からがんの遺伝子治療を始めました。現在約30年間がん治療をしています。
Dr. Akiyama, I know that you speak English and Japanese. If you'd prefer to answer in English, feel free, and that'll be fine. And then if we need to, we'll just CC it on the screen. So yeah, no worries at all. Now, Dr. Akiyama decided that he did want to proceed in English, and so the first question that I had for him was about the incidence of cancer in Japan.
In Japan, cancer patient has been rapidly increasing. The number one cancer patient is mainly gastric cancer, and next lung cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, and so on. And as for female patient, number one cancer is breast cancer.
You said gastric cancer is number one. Why do you think gastric cancer might be one in Japan? Could it have anything to do with all of the raw fish that's eaten here, with the parasites perhaps?
Very good question. But I think the most influential factor is Helicobacter pylori infection, Helicobacter infection of gastric wall.
When Dr. Akiyama said that Helicobacter infection might be the reason for stomach cancer increasing in Japan, it reminded me of my father. He had stomach cancer, and I remember the doctors mentioning Helicobacter. When Dad got sick, we really wanted to take him to one of the alternative cancer clinics in Tijuana, Mexico, because the USA does not allow for many types of treatments since they are not FDA approved. So I was naturally curious what kind of freedom that doctors have in Japan as it relates to using treatments that might be thought of as unconventional.
Japan is such a good place to do non-conventional therapy. We have a Japanese law, Japanese medical law. We Japanese doctors can use almost anything. Why Japanese doctors think it is necessary for a patient?
So that's fascinating to me. That's a stark contrast from the United States. So in Japan, Japanese medical doctors are allowed to use whatever they think would work for the patient.
Wow. Now that is a huge difference between the USA and Japan. There is actually a Japanese law which allows doctors to use anything that works for their patients. In other words, in Japan, traditional Eastern medicine and Western medicine coexist in peace. This allows for doctors to be innovative and to utilize treatments that really work, even for the most difficult cancers, like brain cancer.
Now you're doing a unique treatment for brain cancer that I learned about, and it is using electric currents, tumor treating fields, right,
so
to treat brain cancer. Talk about that if you could.
Because our treatment, cancer treatment field can also stop cancer cell cycle. It works to stop cancer cell cycle and then induces the apoptosis. It's very, very easy and convenient therapy. But patients have to wear a helmet like this for a long time, such as 10 hours a day also. Most of the patients treating by treatment field is end-stage brain cancer, but sometimes it works very quickly. Normal cell takes more than 3 or 4 or 5 days to divide into two normal cells. It takes longer, but whereas cancer cell just from 10 to 24 hours to divide into two cancer cells very quickly, because cancer cell divide so rapidly, mostly within 24 hours. So cancer cells are very vulnerable by tumor treating fields.
That's fascinating. Utilizing electric frequencies to effectively treat late-stage brain cancer. Did you know that the brain has a lymphatic system which connects it to the immune system?
Our immune system is basically consists of two types, that is innate immunity and acquired immunity. I think it is necessary to boost both immune systems. Innate immunity is looks very primitive, but have so many potential to eradicate cancer cell. Whereas acquired immunity, such as targeting cancer molecule, is very, very limited effect.
When Dr. Akiyama mentions acquired immunity, he is using the term synonymously with adaptive immunity. Several medical journal articles have been published over the past few years, which indicate that chemotherapy actually impairs the adaptive immune response. Have you ever wondered why the worldwide approach to treating cancer is to use chemicals like chemotherapy, which can actually harm the immune response? Have you ever wondered why doctors will adamantly tell you not to eat antioxidant-rich foods that improve immune response? It all goes back to the fact that doctors across the globe are not educated about nutrition while in medical school.
They gave us a whole hour on nutritionals. A whole hour in 4 years of medical school. And they told us there's vitamin A and B1 and B2 and C and D, and they're in alphabetical order, and you can look them up. And then they told us some really basic facts. We got a whole hour.
First of all, how much training did you receive on nutrition when you were in medical school? Because I know here in the States, it's almost none.
Yeah, not much.
Not much?
Not much.
Even in Argentina?
It's close to, very little.
Close to none?
Very little.
Because in medical school they don't teach you anything about nutrition.
We got hours and hours and hours on how to use basically patent medicines, which, as you know, are what usually goes on the prescription pad as a molecule that can be patented, which means it's not found in nature, because you can't patent it if it's not found in nature, if it's found in nature. And that's what we get educated in.
They don't get paid to educate people, they get paid to write prescriptions. And you can imagine the drug lobby made sure that's the case.
The doctor is brainwashed when he gets out of medical school because the medical school has too much subsidization of the professors who are being paid by the drug company. So the professor never teaches any student in medical school, why don't you try vitamin C? They're going to tell them the latest drug.
And that's by design, specifically. There, about over a century ago, there's foundations, the Carnegie and the Rockefeller foundations, who sort of engineered the curriculum through their grants and donations.
Are you wondering what Dr. Mercola meant when he mentioned that the Carnegies and Rockefeller Foundation engineered medical school curriculum over a century ago? He was referring to the Flexner Report of 1910, which we addressed in A Global Quest. Now you can see why history is so important. Because, as the old saying goes, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it.
So, I don't need to go any further. You can understand when the money is coming from a source which has a vested interest in the outcome. Now, what's going to happen is the outcome is going to be what the donor wants it to be, generally. So this is the problem, and that goes back even further in time to the turn of the last century, when the Rockefeller group and the Carnegie group actually came together, and they decided that they would reform medical education in America.
At the time of the late 1800s and early 1900s, 20th century, medical schools taught a lot of different things. There were homeopathic medical schools, there were naturopathic schools, there were eclectic herbal type medicine schools, and so it was all there. There was not one way. And what happened was that the Rockefeller and Carnegie foundations were interested in establishing the one way. How would they do that? Well, they would get a hold of the education system and create a medical monopoly via basically eliminating all competition to patent petrochemical medical education. That's the Flexner Report of 1910, it became known. Abraham and Simon Flexner, were hired to do this. It was a preordained commissioned report.
Not surprisingly, the basis of the report was that it was far too easy to start a medical school and that most schools were not teaching sound medicine. Let me translate this for you. These natural health colleges were not pushing enough chemical drugs manufactured by who? Carnegie and Rockefeller. The AMA, who were evaluating the various medical colleges, made it their job to target and shut down the larger respected homeopathic colleges. Carnegie and Rockefeller began to immediately shower hundreds of millions of dollars on these medical schools that were teaching drug-intensive medicine.
Oh, by the way, when they donated the money, the donors would say, well, now we've given you a lot of money and we know you're going to do the right thing with it, but would you object if we had someone from our staff appointed to your board of directors, just to make sure that just to see how our money is being spent, you know. Well, that was really a condition of getting the money, so you know the university said, well, that would be fine. Anybody that you would suggest would be, I'm sure, more than adequate. So they began to load up the boards of directors of these teaching centers with people who literally were on the payroll of the donors. So once that was in place, the curriculum of the universities, the teaching centers, swung completely in the direction of pharmaceutical drugs, and it has remained that way ever since.
Predictably, those schools that had the financing churned out the better doctors. Oh, wait a minute. Or should I say, the more recognized doctors. In return for the financing, the schools were required to continue teaching course material that was exclusively drug-oriented, with no emphasis on natural medicine. By 1925, over 10,000 herbalists were out of business. By 1940, over 1,500 chiropractors would be prosecuted for practicing quackery. The 22 homeopathic medical schools that flourished in the 1900s dwindled down to just 2 by 1923. By 1950, all the schools teaching homeopathy were closed. In the end, if a physician did not graduate from a Flexner-approved medical school and receive an MD degree, then he or she could not find a job anywhere. This is why today MDs are so heavily biased towards synthetic drug therapy and know little about nutrition, if anything.
Now this whole medical field has been skewed in the direction of pharmaceutical drugs which can be patented and produce great profits for the producers. And then the next step is that means that anything coming from nature is excluded, and that's where we think, some of us think, that most of the promise lies in these very complex substances found in herbs and plants and trees and things like that, seeds. Some of us feel that it was probably meant to be that way, you know. And so you come out of all of this analysis and all of this history with the realization that the medical profession is really like a lapdog of the pharmaceutical industry. And most of the doctors have no idea that that's the case. They don't understand this history.
As a result of the Flexner Report, the future of medical research would be looking for newer and better drugs to treat illness. Chemotherapy, which we will examine later in this episode, became a new treatment for cancer in the 1940s with the use of nitrogen mustards and other drugs. One of the problems with chemo, aside from the toxicity, is that patients can become resistant. Now, let's go back to Japan and Tai's interview with Dr. Akiyama to learn more.
Most of the patients suffering from cancer have a p53 mutation. That is, p53 mutation causes a chemotherapeutic resistance and radiotherapy resistance. So p53 therapy can eliminate this resistance. Furthermore, p53 can work to stop cancer cell cycle. p53 can stop 3 parts of the cancer cell cycle, then induces apoptosis.
What is apoptosis?
アポトシスはがんの死に方の一種で、がん細胞がチリチリに分解されます。
Your treatment is liposomal P53. What does liposomal mean?
Liposome is a kind of lipid membrane, or bilayer lipid membrane. We wrap P53 plasmid by using a liposomal membrane, then administer intravenously. P53 targets most of the solid cancer, such as brain cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer, bladder cancer, and so on.
So basically the cancers that we wouldn't think of as blood cancers would be some of the solid cancers that it would be successful against.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. P53 ribosome is such a kind of lipid membrane that can attracted by cancer cell, because most of the cancer cell is negatively charged, while our liposomal P53 is positively charged.
It goes back to basic physics. Opposites attract. Liposomal P53 gene therapy is positively charged, whereas cancer cells have a negative charge. So the liposome delivers the p53 gene to the cancer cells, then induces apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. It's brilliant. In all my travels across the globe, this was the first time I'd ever heard of this treatment. Dr. Shin has had success with brain cancer, lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, breast cancer, liver cancer, and bladder cancer.
Dr. Akiyama, I really appreciate you joining me here today. It's been fascinating, learned some great stuff from you. And I know that the people that are watching this documentary have learned some great stuff from you too. So hope you enjoyed this interview, y'all. We'll be heading next in a couple of hours. We're going to be heading down to a place called Hewlett Hall. There's actually a Cancer Control Society convention here in Japan. It's a Japanese chapter of the CCS. And if you watched our initial documentary called The Quest for the Cures, and The Quest for the Cures continues, the first interview I ever did with Dr. Tony Jimenez, who's a good buddy of mine now, and he's traveling with us here in Japan, was at the Cancer Control Society convention in Los Angeles, California. Well, we're here at CCS Japan now. That's where we're heading next. We are at the Cancer Control Society convention in Tokyo, Japan. And if you hear someone speaking Japanese, it's because they're over the loudspeaker. So that's who you're hearing in addition to me and Dr. Mizukami.
More than 30 years, I have been working as an oncologist, cancer doctor. And I've seen maybe more than 10,000 advanced cancer patients.
What treatment protocols did they teach you while you were in medical school? Were the best treatments for cancer?
Oh, nothing. I've studied from conventional medicine. Conventional treatment contains severe low QOL treatment like chemo, radiation, big operation. So I don't like that.
I was shocked that even in Japan, doctors are taught in medical school that the big three, chemo, radiation, and surgery, are the best treatments for cancer, which, by the way, is on the rise in Japan. I asked Dr. Mizukami whether or not changes to the traditional Japanese diet could be contributing to the rising cancer rates.
From ancient times, Japanese have a good tradition of nice diet, but Japanese people want to eat American diet very much. Vegetable and fruit intake have been decreasing among Japanese year by year compared to your country. I think it's a kind of tragedy for us because, for example, young people don't like fruits and they like cake, sweet cake or like we are people. Japanese people like McDonald's. So it's a fact, sad fact. And become obese and another higher cholesterol or higher incidence of diabetes. To keep our health, diet is very, very important, of course.
Diet is a very important weapon against cancer. I remember growing up, the one vitamin that I took almost every day was vitamin C, thanks to my mother. One of the most famous forerunners of high-dose vitamin C treatment for cancer was Dr. Linus Pauling. He was a physical chemist and a peace activist who won 2 Nobel Prize awards, one in chemistry in 1954, followed by a Nobel Peace Prize in 1962. The New Scientist magazine ranked him as one of the 20 greatest scientists ever to live. Dr. Mizukami said that he greatly respects Dr. Pauling's work.
For half century, I have been practicing high-dose vitamin C injection to cancer patients. And some of our patients had great success. Of course, not all. So for me, vitamin C treatment is great weapon against cancer.
Despite being a great weapon against cancer, according to Dr. Mizukami, those who use vitamin C treatments have been mocked and ridiculed as quacks, including Dr. Pauling himself, despite his 33 studies that indicated vitamin C is an effective tool in the cancer-fighting arsenal. Those opposed to vitamin C typically point to a single study which showed that vitamin C was not effective. Dr. Mizukami is an epidemiologist. That's a scientist who studies the causes of diseases and also typically is an expert at scientific studies. When I asked him if he trusted modern medical studies and research that's published in the medical journals, he had an interesting response.
In the past, I was an epidemiologist, and I know data can be changed by researchers, so I cannot trust all the epidemiological data. That depends on individuals or researchers.
That's interesting, isn't it? An epidemiologist stating that he does not trust medical studies because he knows how easy it is to falsify studies and make stuff up. Dr. Mizukami went on to share some of his favorite treatments for cancer.
I like ozone therapy.
Okay.
O3 is put into blood, and after that blood transfusion is done. Very easy way and no side effect. O3 became soon O2. Patient can have O2, full of O2 blood. And you know, high oxygen blood were not liked by cancer cells. Propolis has a direct killing effect to cancer cells. Direct killing effect. Such a kind of poison. Of course, not harmful to humans, but to cancer cells, very, very poisonous. Propolis has such tendency, such character. I love that.
I love that too. Selective toxicity. That's the hallmark of a successful treatment for cancer, killing the cancer cells but not the normal cells. B. propolis, as Dr. Mizukami just mentioned, is one such substance. Did you know that there are viruses that also possess the attribute of being selectively toxic? One of them is called Rigvir, and it was discovered in Riga, Latvia, an amazing city that we visited a few years ago on our global quest.
There is only one medicine in the world on the market, live virus, Rigvir, Riga virus, Rigvir. This is constructed or discovered by the Professor Aino Mutseniece and legislated or approved by Latvian FDA, let's say so, this European country, and is very, very successfully used to treat melanoma, and not only melanoma, because this virus is a human virus, native, non-modified virus. The main problem is mutation for all of viruses. This is non-mutating virus.
Rigvir is an oncolytic virus, all right? So this is a cartoon, but it shows how the cartoonist would display it. The virus infects a tumor cell, it replicates within the tumor cell, and it just destroys it, blows it up. Rigvir is the first virotherapy, cancer virotherapy, where you have an oncolytic virus, which also has immunomodulating activity. That's the dual mode of action.
As Dr. Peters Albert stated, Rigvir, which is short for Riga virus, seeks out and kills cancer cells while simultaneously modulating the immune system, which is the white blood cells, also known as leukocytes. Now, there's several types of leukocytes, which include lymphocytes, macrophages, monocytes, and dendritic cells.
We can cultivate monocyte to dendritic cell by culture. And here in Japan, we have a technology of multiplicate monocyte to many numbers. Because in conventional treatment, one monocyte only to one monocyte. But we can multiply by hundreds. We have such technology, so it's easy way to use dendritic cell treatment. My dream is for even advanced cancer patients, no side effect, very safe, high quality of life.
That's a great dream. That's our dream as well, for cancer patients to have quality of life, and remember that cancer is not a death sentence. There's always hope. We just finished an interview with Dr. Mizukami, and before we leave here, we just got the opportunity to interview Dr. Suzuki.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. And
Nice to meet you.
one of his patients. And what was her name again?
Junko Akiyama.
Junko Akiyama. Okay, I hope I got that right. But thank you so much for joining us. And from what I understand, folks, this is a miracle story. June was first diagnosed with very aggressive anaplastic thyroid cancer 4 years ago and was given only 4 to 6 months to live. It spread to her lungs, and she first declined chemotherapy because she doesn't like medication. She finally did the chemo, which did shrink her tumor, so they were able to perform a 10-hour operation. But there was a complication during the surgery, and they found an abnormal connection, a fistula, between the esophagus and the trachea. The doctors recommended high-calorie therapy as a cancer treatment, but June began to do a water fast, exactly the opposite of the doctor's orders. Her results were miraculous. The fistula began to shrink and her cancer went away. Dr. Suzuki was so impressed that he reported this as a case study to the Japanese Thyroid Cancer Congress. How many days did she water fast, you might be wondering?
12 days.
12-day fasting.
12-day fast.
Yes, only water.
Water only fast. So she did 12-day only water fast.
So
I see.
her fistula from throat to trachea getting better.
It's getting better
yes.
because of the water fast. Huh.
Unbelievable. Medical staff think unbelievable. Yes.
Well, it looks like you're doing great. I'm very happy for you. And doctor, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Good job. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are you enjoying episode 1 thus far? Are you learning a lot about what people and doctors here in Japan are doing to prevent and even treat cancer? Do you want to join our movement and support our mission to save lives and to eradicate cancer once for all? Well, the way that you can do that is by choosing to own the DVDs. Your support allows us to do what we're doing right now, which is to share the truth absolutely free. And a portion of each sale gets donated to charities that are doing real cancer research. So please, join the movement, support the mission by clicking the link below.
Yes, thank you so much for your support and for choosing to own either the gold or silver package. We truly appreciate you. During that last interview with June and Dr. Suzuki, June was an inspiration to the entire Truth About Cancer team. She bucked the doctor's orders and decided to take her health into her own hands. And her smile was so contagious. As soon as Ty finished the brief interview, he and Travis and Andre, along with our friend Hiro Emoto, caught an Uber to the Tokyo train station. They had to get to Sendai Province, a 2-hour ride on the train at about 320 kilometers per hour. Dr. Tony Jimenez, along with Alan, Mark, and Bryce, stayed in Tokyo to interview a famous Japanese author, Shu Funase. Here is some of that interview.
I'm here with Shu Funase, author of over 250 books, and these are 2 of his most popular books. This one is about chemotherapy.
Yes.
And the dangers of chemotherapy. Yes. And this one is about the bad guys.
Bad guys in the Meiji Revolution.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the chemotherapy and your research with chemo, because after all, this is for the truth about cancer. What is the truth that you have found with chemotherapy?
Chemotherapy is, the medicine to use the chemotherapy is very bad poison. It's only just a poison. So the poison will kill the patient. To cure? No, to kill.
To kill
the patient.
And why do you conclude that in this book? What led you to conclude that chemotherapy kills?
The government officer who is in charge about chemotherapy management in the public welfare ministry. I interviewed, and I asked him, chemotherapy can cure the cancer patient? He answered, I will answer you, chemotherapy cannot cure the cancer. It's common sense, he said. So I was surprised. Next, I asked him, there is a rumor about chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is very harmful. Yes. So he answered, yes, chemotherapy is very bad poison.
Doesn't it seem strange that chemo, which is basically chemical poisoning, is the #1 treatment by oncologists who are fighting this cancer war? And what was the beginning of this war on cancer?
In 1971, U.S. President Nixon declared a war on cancer, but are we really winning this war in light of the fact that 90% of oncologists won't even take their own treatment? Is the cancer industry any closer today than they were then in finding a cure? Why does this perpetual war on cancer continue?
And one of the reasons why this war continues is the money that are being made in this war. And this refers to the treatments, so-called treatments that are being used in cancer, namely chemotherapy and radiation. Chemotherapy uses the most powerful toxins known to humans. And these toxins, of course, are being sold to us as substances that can kill cancer cells. But these substances also annihilate healthy cells in the body, damage its organs, which make the recovery from cancer almost a miracle, impossible. And also the very substances that are being used to fight cancer are cancer-causing chemicals. So instead of eliminating cancer or curbing cancer, we are generating new cancer.
Could it be that chemo-induced cancers are more pervasive than we realize? We'll go back to wrap up Dr. Tony's interview in just a few minutes. As I just mentioned, while Dr. Tony was interviewing Shu Funase, Tai and his team took the train from Tokyo to Sendai. They passed by Fukushima, which was the site of the horrible nuclear accident back in 2011. Hiro Emoto accompanied them on the train ride. He is actually the son of Dr. Masaru Emoto, the doctor who first showed how water can hold onto vibration, frequency, and even emotions, and can also be used to protect from radiation. A special thank you to Hiro for coordinating the interview and office visit that you're about to see.
Dr. Maruyama is a big fan of TTAC, and even though it was Saturday night, he and his entire staff were there to greet us and wanted to take some photos. When I asked Dr. Maruyama about Fukushima and the nuclear meltdown that occurred there in 2011, he generously gave me and the entire TTAC team one of many EMF radiation protectors that he keeps in his office. He also shared one of the herbs that he uses for his cancer patients, ginseng. A number of animal and human studies show that Panax ginseng may reduce the risk of several types of cancer. The report appears in the July 2000 issue of Cancer Causes and Control, a medical journal that's published in Holland. Ginseng is an important part of traditional Chinese medicine, but Dr. Maruyama is not using normal ginseng. It's double fermented ginseng, which looks like black paste, and he let me take a taste. Basically, this is fermented ginseng. So, cheers.
How is it?
It's a little bit bitter. It's not terrible. It actually looks a lot worse than it tastes. It looks terrible. It doesn't really taste that bad. So it's fermented in lactic acid, and it's also fermented in Aspergillus orzae.
これがこれで、ファングスで、これが米麹で、アスペギルスオリゼ。
That's fungus. So it's fermented in fungus and in lactic acid.
double.
So bacteria and fungus. Okay. Aspergillus orsai, also known in English as koji, is a filamentous fungus used in Chinese and other East Asian cuisines to ferment soybeans for making soy sauce. And it has an amazing effect on traditional Chinese medical herbs.
こういういわゆるその菌が漢方を分解してがんに対してかなり強い薬効を持つようになります。まるで抗がん剤に匹敵するような力を持つ場合もあります。こういう治療は多分今やってるのは私が一番やってるかもしれません。他にも人参だけじゃなくて多くの抗がん漢方も同じように、そういったものを作ってその人々に合う人たちに、飲んでいただいている。
Before we left his office, Dr. Maruyama showed us his vast medicine cabinet full of traditional Chinese medicine and other anti-cancer herbs. Fascinating interview with Dr. Maruyama here. He's using traditional Chinese medicine and he's fermenting it, which is unique. I'm not familiar with anybody else that's doing that, but we all know about the amazing nutritional benefits and the immune system effect of fermented foods. So that's fascinating in and of itself. He's also very aware of the negative effects of electromagnetic radiation, doing his best to eliminate that in the cancer patient and providing a place for them to live, sleep without being exposed to it, which in the United States we call that a Faraday cage, but he's working on that as well. So, the combination of the positive energy along with the traditional Chinese medicine that's fermented, I thought it was great interview, good takeaways for everyone. And he mentioned the fact that if you can't get a hold of the herbs that he's using, one of which is ginseng, which there's a lot of great medicinal effects and anti-cancer effects of ginseng. If you can't get a hold of the other traditional Chinese herbs that he's using, he said ferment something that's close to you. So I think it's great practical advice, great takeaway. So thank you to Dr. Maruyama. Now we're heading back to the Sendai train station, going back to Tokyo on the bullet train.
While Tai, Travis, Andre, and Hiro were on the bullet train from Sendai to Tokyo, the rest of the team was getting video footage of Tokyo at night. Tokyo is an unbelievably beautiful city, as you can see. Now, back to the rest of the afternoon interview with Shu Funase, who wrote a best-selling book about the toxicities involved with chemotherapy.
Why is this book only in Japanese? Because I asked you if we have this book in English. Why only in Japanese?
Oh, yes. I know the very famous American healer, and he advised me and never translate this book into English and never sell this book in the United States of America. Why? I asked him, if you do that, you shall be killed in 2 weeks. I shall be killed when this book sold in the United States. So
we only have it in Japanese now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is Shu Funase crazy, or is this a realistic threat? Would he really be killed in 2 weeks if he published his expose on chemotherapy book in English? In the next interview, Hideo Nakajima discusses GC Math, which is an emerging treatment for autism and cancer. Tai also interviewed another well-known medical doctor in Japan who discussed the cancer-fighting effects of GC Math in detail. But then after the interview, he asked us not to use any of the GC Math section in our documentary because he was afraid that if he traveled to the United States, he would be killed. Was he crazy too? I'll let you decide.
Immunotherapies, like a dendritic cells or natural killer cell vaccine, or recently the second generation GC-MAF is emerging.
GC-MAF?
GC-MAF. GC-MAF wakes up the macrophages. And macrophages is quite aggressive, become aggressive. They eat cancer cells.
GC-MAF works by decreasing nagalase, thus activating the macrophages and your immune system. Here's Dr. Bita from A Global Quest to further explain.
Nigrelase level tells me where your immune system is at. In a healthy patient, your nigrelase level should be less than 1. But if you have virus or cancer in your body, the nigrelase level tend to be higher. So I actually started on my regular healthy patients who don't have the diagnosis of cancer but has viruses in their body, measure their nigrelase level. If it's high or higher than 1, I tell them your immune system is being suppressed, and then you're gonna develop cancer.
But cancer cannot develop if your immune system is healthy. White blood cells, also called leukocytes, are the cells of the immune system, and macrophages are a specific kind of white blood cell.
I've heard macrophages referred to as the Pac-Man of the immune system because they can eat and eat and eat cancer cells.
Another advantage of them is they live longer than T cells, natural killer cells. They are tough. That's another advantage of the macrophages.
Macrophages are the Pac-Men of the immune system, gobbling up cancer cells, bacteria, viruses, fungi. It's well known that fermentation makes herbs and foods healthier and benefits the immune system. The fermented ginseng that I tasted at the office of Dr. Maruyama was just one of many fermented foods that he uses to treat cancer. But have you ever wondered why fermented foods are so good for you and how they benefit the immune system?
発酵食品はいろんな腸内細菌を含んでる。いい腸内細菌もフィオリミ菌っていう腸内細菌が含んでて、イミューンシステムが全部活性化される。発酵食品っていうのは腸内細菌のいろんな種類の菌が入ってる。免疫細胞は腸に70% います。だから腸を良くすると免疫細胞が活性化して免疫が全部上がる。腸内細菌がダメにしちゃって腸内細菌が少なくなってるから、今アメリカでは便移植法って言っていっぱい腸内細菌を持った便を入れるっていうやり方がアメリカでは肥満とかいろんな病気を治すということで使われている。日本でも一部の大学でそういう研究がなされている。
If gut flora is important for your health, but chemo kills gut flora and also causes dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of the bacteria in your gut, then how can chemotherapy be an effective method of extending the life of cancer patients?
がんで抗がん剤とかレントゲンとか、手術で治したっていった群とですね、もうがんと共存症といった群と分けて、どちらが幸福な人生をやってるかというと、そういったがんと共存しようという人たちの方がいつまでも元気で長生きしてハッピーだっていう。沖縄の人たちは一番長生きだったんだ。ところがアメリカ軍が来てアメリカ的な食事を増えると長生きの順位が1番から30番ぐらいに落ちてくる。それはね、やっぱりアメリカのフードが影響してる。
Dr. Fujita mentioning the American military coming to Japan 75 years ago during World War II took us back to an interview that Ty did with Dr. Matthias Rath in the Netherlands. In that interview, he articulated how big pharma company IG Farben, comprised of Bayer, Hesch, and BASF, was responsible for building the concentration camps in Nazi Germany.
We were in Auschwitz because we have a friendship with some of the survivors that are still alive from that time. And it is, since you asked me this question, I may just spend a moment on something that is very little known about Auschwitz. We've been told in the history book it was a camp that was built to annihilate Jewish people and Slavic people and people that the Nazis didn't like in the conquered countries. But what made Auschwitz the mega death extermination camp was actually the decision by Bayer, Höchst and BASF to build the largest industrial plant of wartime in Europe. It is called IG Auschwitz, a 100% subsidiary of Bayer, Höchst and BASF. And the plant was 8 kilometers long, about 5 miles long, and 2 miles wide. So it's a giant industrial area. And the Birkenau concentration camp, the huge camp that was featured in Schindler's List in that movie, was a deliberate decision to supply slave labor for the construction of this industrial plant. So without the interest that we just touched upon, that put profits over lives, Auschwitz would never have had this meaning. The decision of Wannsee, which was the decision by the Nazis to exterminate the Jewish people, was taken roughly 1 year after the decision of IG Farben to build this plant. So the Nazis used the death apparatus that was already existing because of the slave labor camp being in existence. The chimneys were burning. IG Farben was not taking care of the sick people. After 3 months on average, the people were emascerated, and so they were just put to the gas chamber and shut up in the chimney. So I used a few more sentences than normal to exemplify, if we are talking today that there is an industry among humanity that sacrifices millions of lives or puts them at risk for profit, we are sometimes, you included, being attacked as being out of this world, conspiracy people. Now, we turn around, we look at Auschwitz, we look at the industrial plant, we look at the concentration extermination plant being built, initially built, to serve as slave labor camp for that purpose. And we can say, they've done it before.
I want to be clear. We're not implying that everyone who works in Big Pharma is a Nazi. That's absurd. We're just trying to share the truth about the origin of Auschwitz, Dachau, and Birkenau. It's not a conspiracy. It's a documented fact. There was a Truth About Cancer fan named Norio who met Ty and our team for lunch in Tokyo, and he addressed this exact issue.
People have to know the truth, and conspiracy exists.
Yeah.
And the Big Pharma and medical industries, also media, I can call stooges for globalists. I really hate them. So I kind of info warrior in a sense, you know.
You are an info warrior. You're one of the.
You are one of the.
You're one of the TTAC info warriors in Japan.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You opened my eye a few years back when I watched. I think everybody watched your TTAC. Opened their eyes and got great inspiration.
After lunch, we realized that one of us was missing. Alan Ray was nowhere to be found, so here's what happened next.
Well, this will be an interesting
What's
story.
going on, Mark?
Well, we lost Alan.
This is Alan trying to stir up some drama.
We lost Alan.
We went here. This is what happened. So basically, we had a really nice lunch, and then we came out, and Ty's like, "Hey, take a picture of the group." So I take a picture, and then then he goes, "Take a picture of me and Bryce." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Alan, move out of the way." And then no one saw him. He disappeared after that. He would walk back there by
Does anybody have a photo of him?
Was he in that? No, I don't think so.
He wasn't in that one. Lunch here today, walking back to the call, and Alan's not with us, so we don't know where he is.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? He's there.
Oh wow, he is there. I'm gonna kill you, man. I got another question before I kill you. We didn't know where you went, man. We're like, could Alan have gotten abducted in Japan?
No.
Okay.
I figured you'd say something like, "Hey guys, I'll just meet you there." Hey, yeah, we found him.
Woof. Good time.
After all the excitement had died down and we found Alan, we went outside to get an interview with Dr. Atsuo Yanagasawa, one of the most renowned Japanese experts on cancer. I was really honored that he's a huge TTAC fan, and he even brought a copy of A Global Quest for me to sign for him. After we had chatted a few minutes and we got to know each other, I asked him why this cancer explosion is happening globally, and specifically if the Fukushima nuclear accident has caused increased cancer rates in Japan.
The reason why the number of the patients increase in Japan and also all over the world, because of the most of the lifestyle changes, also the most toxic pollutions, and also many artificial additives in the food, and many stress. So people is, reduced immunities, and that's many cause leading to cancer.
Stress, pollution, food additives.
Yeah.
I know that here that they don't necessarily call it MSG, but there's a lot of MSG in the food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, maybe in the future we have a problem of the radiations. Contaminations.
So speaking of radiation, Fukushima, we just went out to Sendai last night. We passed through Fukushima.
Yes.
And we had the nuclear meltdown out there 7 years ago now.
Exactly.
Has that had a detrimental effect on cancer here?
Because of the cancer patients was increased, especially the young people, when they are living in Fukushima area at the time of the accident. Now, 5 years later, increase the incidence of thyroid cancer. That is a problem. That was published a couple of years ago from the National Okayama Universities. We have 16 Fukushima workers working in the nuclear power plant accident area. That means the contaminated area. We measured the gene expression of the cancer risk scores. Okay, 5 of 16 workers, the scores increased more than normal. And we treated such workers using intravenous vitamin C and other vitamin C, vitamin E, and oligonucleic acids, some antioxidant supplements and IV. So 2 months after, those cancer risk score returned to normal values. So antioxidant, what means oral or IV or anyway, what else, anyways, is working for preventing the cancer for futures.
No, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
This is a private owned place.
Okay.
We can't.
We're almost. We have 5 more minutes.
5 minutes? 5 minutes to wrap up?
I don't think so. They kind of authority. We are not allowed. This area is not good.
Okay, well let's just move and go somewhere else then.
This is private owned place.
Okay.
This is.
So
sidewalk. We're going to sidewalk? Yes. Right here. Sidewalk. See there. Just shift everything over.
Just about the time it was getting good, we had to move our location because we were in a public space and allegedly were causing a safety hazard.
So as you can see, we're going to continue the interview now. It looks like we're in a different location, and we actually are. Apparently, we were causing all sorts of public safety issues by being 10 steps that way. So we had to move out on the sidewalk here. So now we're legal. So we're going to continue the interview. So hey, you might as well have fun with this, right? We're shooting on location here in Tokyo. We didn't get prior approval, so we have to move out on the sidewalk. So now we're not a public safety risk, because we definitely do not want to be a public safety risk. So Dr. Atsuo, thanks for being pliable here. We're going to move it. It's okay. Hideo's in the shot, no big deal. This is a live thing here, so we're just going to roll with it. But what you were talking about with the testing and the gene expression, very fascinating. So do you have, other than the intravenous vitamin C, and you mentioned intravenous vitamin E, correct?
No, it's oral vitamin E.
Oral vitamin E, okay. Yeah. What other treatment protocols are effective at treating cancer? Because it sounds like if you're able to take the cancers from Fukushima radiation and reverse them, it must be pretty powerful.
Yeah. Intravenous vitamin C and the other oxidants can neutralize the risk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So I know that you work with.
They'll be in trouble if policeman came. They will be in trouble.
Okay.
If police officer will come. If
will
police
come?
Officer come here.
Okay.
If police officer found it they'll be in big trouble.
Okay.
That's what they say.
Okay, that's fine. So are we okay here?
No.
We need to move?
No.
Well, let's just move and we'll go another place.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Let's go up top. That's fine. Let's just go up the
Yeah.
stairs and finish it up there. That's fine. So we're back to the interview with Dr. Atsuo. This is our third location now. Apparently, the time we moved from the first place to the second place, we still weren't safe. We were still a menace to society. So we had to be moved up here to make sure that we got out of there. Hideo said something that's interesting. The policemen out there, all of the guards are just kind of following orders. They're doing their job. It's this bureaucracy. It really kind of reminded us of modern medicine. You know, the doctors are just doing what they've been taught. They're just doing what they're told. But it may not be the wisest thing, right? And so we're going to learn maybe some of the more wise treatments for cancer from Dr. Atsuo. So thanks for being such a good sport. Dr. Atsuo, just so you know, he just missed a train. So he was running to get here, and then we have all this happen with the policeman. So thanks for being such a good sport.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So
thank you.
Let's continue the interview here and see what else we can learn from Dr. Atsuo.
Yes, please.
I know that you're involved with orthomolecular medicine.
Yes.
What exactly is orthomolecular medicine?
Orthomolecular medicine is to preventing and curing disease by using proper nutrition. This is vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. And this is ozone and hydrogen and other nutrients is essential for keeping optimum health.
In medical school, were you taught anything about nutrition, the impact of nutrition on health?
They do not teach about the nutrition, only meaning of vitamins and minerals, and also mostly talking about the calories. That's it. In my clinic, I use salvestrol. Salvestrol is containing fruits and vegetables and herbs. Cancer cells has an enzyme of CYP1B1, but normal cells does not. Once salvestrol enters the cells, and CYP1B1 changes the salvestrol to the apoptosis-induced substances.
Okay.
On the other hand, normal cells has no CYP1B1, so salvestrol does not have any effect. So salvestrol is good for, it's natural to the body, and also does not harm the normal cells, only kills the cancer cells.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating. So the salvestrol selectively toxic to cancer cells because the cancer cells have the CYP1B1 that causes the salvestrol to create apoptosis in the cell to kill them.
Yeah.
Do I understand it properly?
Exactly.
Fascinating. Salvestrol is produced by natural fruits and vegetables the last day or two as they ripen on the vine, and it works with the CYP1B1 enzyme system to become selectively toxic to cancer cells. But unless you're eating vine-ripened produce, you are not getting salvestrol because almost all of the fruits and veggies that you find in the grocery stores were picked green and they were ripened on the boat or in the truck as they were transported.
How important is your belief system? How important is it to have positive emotions when you're treating cancer, to keep hope?
Because, the fear reduces immunities. And I have many patients who survived stage 4 cancer, but they survived more than 5 years. They have the hope. And they are never thinking about the bad things. And always talking about the family and friends and to living with a happy life. And never think about the cancer.
Right.
Some patients told me cancer teaches lots of things, teach her. So belief is very important for the cancer patients. Because the modern medicine physician, oncologist, always gives the patients fears. That's the most problem in the medical world.
We're about to go get an interview with a couple of cancer patients that kind of fit the bill that Dr. Atsuo just mentioned. They were diagnosed with advanced cancer, they were told that there's no hope, and they're allowed to tell their story because they didn't listen to the doctor when he told them that they were going to be dead. So I think that's great advice, and I really appreciate your time today. Dr. Atsuo, I appreciate your flexibility, moving 3 times. A great interview, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for talking with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
2年前、子宮平滑筋肉腫っていうのが分かりました。手術をしたんですけれども、手術した後も2年以内に再発するんで抗がん剤を受けなさいというふうに言われました。はい、抗がん剤をやる決心をしたんですけど、すぐ副作用が出たので1回でやめました。治療を受けてる時はすごい痛かったし怖かったのもあるけど、体に申し訳なかった。こんなものを入れてしまったと思って家族は病院の治療を受けてくれないと心配だったんです、本当は。治療は全て病院の治療は全て断ってここに来たんですね。2年前栄養療法を取り入れた。で今まではマクロビをやってたんですけど、野菜とお肉と油を取って塩砂糖を抜く栄養療法をしたのと、あとは温熱を毎日した。2年前子宮平滑筋肉腫っていうのが分かりました。もう体元気になって、もともと運動してたんですけど、復活したし、髪の毛も伸びの1ヶ月に3センチぐらい伸びた。お前の言ってることは正しかったって言われました。
Oh, they did it right now. That's awesome. Well, that's good. It's a great story. Thank you for sharing your cancer story. And I'm so glad that you're doing well. You look great.
Yeah.
I can tell you're healthy. And I'm glad that your family now thinks that you're right, because clearly you've done something right. So thank you so much.
Yuko utilized the ketogenic diet to treat her advanced cancer. Dr. Tetsuo Muneta explains why this approach is oftentimes effective at treating cancer.
まあ脂肪を分解して作られるエネルギー源と言えばいいかな。ただ条件があるのは糖質があるとあまり出現してこないので、糖質を制限している時に脂肪を分解してできるエネルギー源というとがちょっと違うかもしれないですね。結局肉と脂肪をメインにする、あと卵、チーズ、こういうものを主たるものにすればできます。動物性の脂肪が一番いいと言われてますが、しかし先ほど話したように MCT オイル、ココナッツオイルなどでも問題はないと思います。人間は必ず何かエネルギーを取らなきゃいけない、食べ物を。その時に糖質を避けるってことは他のもので取らなきゃいけないんだけど、ケトン食のいいとこはそのエネルギーも取れてがんが使えないという、その両方の側面があるってことです。結局ミトコンドリアっていうのががん細胞にないので、このミトコンドリアでケトン体が作られるので、それで多分そういう理屈が成り立ってるんだと思うんですけど、がん細胞にはミトコンドリアがない、そしてがん細胞に使えないミトコンドリアは正常な細胞にはみんなある。ですからケトン体は普通の細胞でも使えるし、がん細胞だけがそれを使えない。糖質を取らないこと、糖質をカットすることによってがん細胞を増えさせる、餓死させるということでがんをやっつけるというか、そういう意味ですね。まあ今の食事を続けますね。ケトン食をね。今ケトン食じゃないですから、ケトン食ではないけど、今度はじゃあ本当のケトン食にしようと思いますね。そういう時は。そうですね。かなり緩やかです。
だからもっと厳しく。
厳しくやればいいんです。
But the ketogenic diet is not the only effective diet for cancer. In this next story, Yukio shares about using the Gerson therapy to reverse her cancer.
Of course, I got a shock because my auntie died because of breast cancer. So I was very, very surprised when I was diagnosed breast cancer. I had an experience to support my father he had prostate cancer, and his stage was 4. So I know Gerson therapy so much. So when I diagnosed at the office of the doctor, I decided to start Gerson therapy. Right after that, right after the diagnosis, I ordered fresh organic carrots for the juice. Yeah, so every 2 times a day, I squeezed very fresh carrot juice for the Gerson therapy. And also, I ordered very fresh greens to make fresh juice. I try to warm up my body because of low temperature, cancer can grow so fast. So I try to warm up my body. So in the bathroom, yeah, we have a hot spring in Japan. So I try. That's a good way to warm up my body. So every morning or 2 times a day, I soak my legs or hands or my body in a bathtub. Detoxification is very important for me. So I did coffee enema 2 times a day. I stopped to eating sweets. Right? I used to love to eat those, but I stopped eating donuts and cream puff. I stopped that, and also I stopped eating very salty food. Yeah, salt and sugar are not so good for my cancer. In Oriental country, we have acupuncture, and a soft massage. It's good for me. If I love that, so I tried them too. Every year I should check my body, and there's no problem so far. So, and I'm still doing Gerson therapy, so I think it works very well. So I'm having a happy life after diagnosis. I'm very active person, so I'm always trying many things. So if I know the new good things, I'm going to try. But I think I'm doing so many things, and I'm sure it works.
Yukio utilized Gerson therapy along with detoxification and diligently removed sugar from her diet since cancer feeds on sugar. Dr. Max Gerson was called the greatest genius in medical history by Nobel Peace Prize winner Albert Schweitzer. And the Gerson therapy relies heavily on the production of energy at the cellular level. Let's have a listen to Dr. Patrick Vickers explain how juicing, which is a staple of the Gerson treatment, fires up the immune system and produces cellular energy.
When you eat raw fruit, raw vegetables, you're drinking raw juices. Do you know if you tested those juices with litmus paper before they went into your body, they test acidic? They test acidic with litmus paper, but when you drink it, that gets broken down into an alkaline ash called potassium hydroxide. The hydroxyl molecule literally goes into your body. Now, chemically written, a hydroxyl molecule is OH negative. Oxygen, hydrogen, negative charge. What's hydrogen? The acidic nature of hydrogen is a positively charged hydrogen ion, H positive. Imagine what happens when that juice gets broken down into hydroxyl ions, OH negative, and reacts with the positively charged hydrogen ion. What reaction do you think takes place? You have an OH negative and an H positive, 2 H's and an O. That reaction forms water. Water is neutral. You neutralize that acidity. You've now changed the charge at the level of the cell membrane, and you've now just allowed your body to properly oxygenate tissues, making the sugars in these fruits and vegetable juices and the natural fruits and vegetables they get at our clinic, they can now be easily converted to massive amounts of energy. And that is what ultimately fires up the immune system, and that's why we have the storied history of reversing these advanced diseases. One of the biggest portions of the therapy is the detoxification procedures of the Gerson therapy. And the Gerson therapy has made these famous, and that's the coffee enema. Now, we're talking about the juicing and how the juicing neutralizes that acidity and forms water. Well, if you're forming massive amounts of water in the body like that, what do you think's happening on a cellular level? The toxins are getting flushed out of the cells into the bloodstream. And those toxins, they have to get released. The coffee enema. Now, people say, come on, now I've heard everything. The coffee enema, I prefer to take mine in the morning, first thing when I wake up.
With cream and sugar?
With cream and sugar. But it's ingenious. Let me explain why. There's a lot of reasons why, but the main reason is this. Your liver produces an enzyme. It's called glutathione transferase. Glutathione transferase, it's the most potent detoxifying enzyme in the human body. The liver produces it. What the liver uses is palmitic acid as the chemical base to produce glutathione transferase. Properly roasted, organic coffee. It's lightly roasted. It's not a drinking coffee. It's a particular bean that's not a drinking bean, and it's also roasted so lightly that you don't denaturize it like you would a drinking coffee. But properly roasted coffee is loaded with palmitic acid. And studies on coffee enemas have proven that when you do one coffee enema, the production of glutathione transferase by the body goes up 600 to 700% greater than normal. And our patients, they're getting 5 a day.
Yes, coffee enemas are a staple of the Gerson diet, and they were actually in the Merck manual until the 1970s as the best way to detoxify the liver. Now, both Yuka and Yukio are volunteers at CCS Japan, and they both benefited from the knowledge that they gleaned from the conferences. Isn't it interesting that both Yuko and Yukio utilized vastly different protocols, but they both healed? I guess it shows how important it is to share the whole truth about nutritional options rather than just a pet diet. It's possible that the Cancer Control Society there in Japan actually saved their lives. I was so happy to be able to interview my good friend, Frank Cousino, about CCS Japan.
I'm always impressed here, and I've watched this, been coming here now, this is number 24. These are medical professionals, scientific professionals, they've studied here, they have MDs, they have PhDs, they've learned how to integrate. We just saw a program on dance, traditional Japanese dancing, how it improves breathing. Later today there'll be one on music. And even the medical establishment in the U.S. beginning to recognize art, music, dance, some of these, oh wow, yes, they do have some benefit. And of course they'll allow those things because it doesn't interfere with the pharmaceutical side.
Yeah.
The people still get all their pharmaceutical things, but okay, you can do this.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned music, and I've done an interview with a man named Michael Terrell. He has a company called Whole Tones. They're having tremendous results by just playing certain frequencies. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. It really is amazing. So.
Oh, it is. When people are allowed to do things that certainly have a potential to work.
Yeah.
And first cause no harm. Primum est nil nocere. From Hippocrates forward, don't harm the patient.
I agree completely. First, do no harm. Frank mentioned music being used to treat cancer, and it took me back to a Global Health News interview that Charlene and I did with Michael Terrell, who shared with us about the way that musical frequencies in his Whole Tones music are being used. Here you can see live blood analysis before listening to Whole Tones music. Notice how the blood cells are all clumped together. And here you can see the blood after listening to only 10 minutes of Whole Tones music. There's no more clumping. It's totally healthy blood.
Wow, look at that live blood analysis. Isn't it amazing the way that dance and laughter and music can be used to help protect and even heal the body from cancer? Their last day in Japan, Tai and our team visited the office of Hiro Emoto, the son of Dr. Emoto, who did decades of research into the amazing healing properties of water. They were able to interview Mr. Yoshi, who shared about Hado, which was described by Dr. Emoto as the specific vibrating wave generated by the electrons orbiting the nucleus of an atom. About 30 years ago, Dr. Emoto became world-renowned when he discovered a world of Hado, and he published more than 10 titles about Hado in Japan. He treated more than 10,000 clients with a Hado measuring device and water, and he helped to heal a lot of people who had different kinds of problems mentally and physically. He knew that water can memorize information. Then he came up with a water crystal photography to prove his theory was accurate. Mr. Yoshi demonstrated his MRA, magnetic resonance analyzer, and explained how each bodily organ has a unique resonance field and vibration. Here's the interesting thing. The healing vibrations and resonances can actually be infused into water. Does this sound familiar? Has anyone out there seen the Echo H2 machine that our good friend Paul Bertiero has created that infuses healing frequencies into water? Here's Ty's final interview from Japan.
この装置で測定をして、必要なコードをここに水を乗せてですね、波動転写できるようになってるんですね。個別の、通常私が行っている波動カウンセリングというのは一人一人に合わせた個別のものを作っておりますが、一般向けに誰が飲んでもある程度効き目のある波動水を作ることもできますし、実際にそういうお水も販売しています。
That's great that Hado water can be used for overall health, but I wanted to know if Mr. Yoshi had any success treating cancer with Hado.
ですね、ある有名なですね、映画監督がいらっしゃるんですけども、白鳥哲さんという方がいらっしゃるんですが、その方がですね、実は脳腫瘍になったんですね。で、病院で、調べるとですね、もう脳の中心に近いところに腫瘍ができてたんですよ。なので手術するのも難しいということで、様子を見ながらですね、私のところで波動水を作って飲んだんですね。で、実際に測定してみると確かに脳腫瘍のコードが反応がありました。そしてその脳腫瘍ができている原因である感情を調べるとですね、非常な恐怖という感情コードが反応したんですね。すると彼の過去生の時にですね、実は幼い少年時代にライオンに食べられて死んだ過去生があったんですね。それで、結果的にですね、波動水、何回も測定しながら波動水を飲み続けまして、1年後に彼は完治しました。その病院で検査してもう脳腫瘍が消えてると。
After Mr. Yoshi had finished telling me the story about Tetsuya Shiratori's amazing recovery from brain cancer by using Hado water, I asked him a question.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's very successful in moving.
I thought he was still alive, yeah.
He keeps giving calls.
Do you stay in touch with him? Do you know him still?
今でも連絡取れますよね。
はい、もちろん。
Can we get him to talk on film about it?
瀬戸監督に喋ってもらうことできますかね。Actually, his office is in this area. Actually.
Heck yeah, I do today if we could.
あとは筋肉がなくなるっていう、特にこの肩の筋肉ですね。それが。
During the interview, Tetsu shared that he was diagnosed with late-stage brain cancer in 2006. He initially relied solely on Western medicine, like chemotherapy and radiation, but he quickly realized that it had limitations in treating his brain cancer and that he was going to need something else. Homeopathy and energy healing didn't really work enough to cure him. That same year he was diagnosed, he had produced a film called Stone Age, in which he told the story of a stomach cancer patient that was cured with Hado. Interestingly, Mr. Yoshi had appeared in this movie as the Hado expert, so Tetsu decided to contact him, and they began doing Hado counseling. He soon realized that our bodies are not just physical, but also emotional and spiritual. Tetsu discovered that he had suppressed anger towards his assistant director, and so he decided to meet with that assistant director, and he forgave him. He also had many other layers of anger and bitterness, and he compared this to peeling the layers of an onion one by one, and he addressed these issues with forgiveness. Within about 18 months of Hado treatment with Mr. Yoshi, his brain cancer was completely gone. Our mind and our consciousness, according to Tetsu, is what creates our physical state. Love and gratitude produce oxytocin and serotonin in the body. However, Too much stress, too much anger, fear, and adrenaline can create unhealthy vibrations and damage your physical body. Ultimately, in Tetsu's opinion, everything is created by our consciousness, which creates our reality. He's very grateful that he's alive and cancer-free. Thank you so much, Hiro, and thank you, Mr. Yoshi, for facilitating this amazing interview with Tetsu Shiratori. Now, back to the conclusion of Mr. Yoshi's interview.
私はですね、大学で応用微生物工学を専攻しました。この機械をものすごく気に入っているのは、肉体的な病気であっても、精神的な病気であっても、さらに、もう金銭的な問題であろうが、人間的な問題であろうが、人間関係のね、問題であろうが、ありとあらゆる問題を解決することができるところなんですね。でそれなぜできるかというと、それは潜在意識の中に抱えているカルマの情報を拾い出して、それを解消するためのサポートができるからなんです。
You know, one of the things that really strikes me with these last couple of interviews, especially this last one with Mr. Yoshi, is that total healing can only take place when you look at mind, body, and spirit. You know, the emotions have a lot to do with overall healing. And I think one of the things that Western medicine misses is just looking at physical healing, but not emotional healing as well. And the mind, the emotions have a lot to play in overall healing. So I really enjoyed and I really learned a lot from these interviews while we were here in Tokyo, Japan. I hope that you learned a lot with us as well in episode number 1, as you got to follow us through our journeys and our travels and all these interviews with these amazing doctors here in Tokyo. Here are a few of the most telling quotes from Japan.
Most Japanese people believe, medication work quite well. That kind of belief system is built in Japanese people.
So pharmaceutical companies have quite a bit of influence here as well.
Yeah, I think so. Medical doctors in Japan are authorized. They are authority for us, If they say you're gonna die in 3 months, probably they will. You will, right?
I'm amused when the conventional oncology establishment says, "Oh, we provide false hope." Well, the conventional oncology establishment in the U.S. provides despair.
They provide no hope.
Well, despair.
Yes, despair.
しても人は死ぬんだから、がんと共存するというか共生するということは可能で、日本でももうがんになってもがんを増殖させないような医療というのが出てきました。だからがんになっても希望を持って生きられるということです。
There's always hope. Cancer is not death sentence. I strongly believe that. It's not death sentence. You don't need to die from cancer. You will die anyway, Sooner or later we will die.
Yeah.
But you don't need to die from cancer. You die healthy, right?
Die healthy, just to live a long life and die of old age.
Yes.
Hideo Nakajima really hit the nail on the head, didn't he? Cancer is not a death sentence, and we will all die one day, but why not live a long life and die of old age? And thank you, Hideo, for helping coordinate the interviews in Japan and making our team feel welcome in Tokyo. I want to encourage you with this Bible verse, Psalm 23, verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Remember, God is here for you, and we are here for you. Please share this with your family, friends, and on social media. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode, where Ty and our team will continue on our mission to share the truth about cancer during their 7-country tour of Asia.
If you want to join our movement and support our mission to save lives across the world and to educate, expose, and eradicate cancer once and for all, the best way that you can do that is to choose to own either the gold or the silver package of this documentary. Your support allows us to do what we're doing right now, which is to share this information with the world absolutely free. We could not do this without your support. So please consider owning the gold or the silver package. Plus, a portion of each and every sale gets donated to charities that are doing real cancer research. Just click the banner below to join the movement and support the mission. I got to go right now. Episode 2 is coming up soon. We've got to travel to Taipei, Taiwan, and we will join you there with the next episode. The plane that we're taking is right behind me, so I got to go catch it. I don't want to miss it, and we'll see you in episode number 2.